And welcome back to BU Tonight. Our first guest tonight is the Boston Globe columnist for movies. Please welcome Ty Burr. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. All right, let's get to the tough questions. Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming. I know.
Get this nice digs you got here.
I know, it's pretty nice. Yeah, we spent $10 on this.
Good.
When did you actually, I know you're doing movie reviews, I think.
Yes.
So my fact checkers have said, but when did you decide to start doing movie reviews? Were you 5 watching Fellini films?
Pretty much, actually, in the womb.
In the womb.
Yeah, my mom just, bellied up to the television really
Yeah.
close. No, when I was about 15, back in the days before video, there was actually a time when dinosaurs walked the earth before video, and they had revival houses, and they used to show a lot of, old classic Hollywood movies, and that's where me and my friends used to go hang out. We were movie geeks, basically, and that's where we started.
I live in a house full of movie geeks
Oh,
and
really?
comic nerds.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm one of
comic
them.
nerds, they're worse.
I know, yeah. Tell me about it. Dangerous.
I'm both.
Yeah, but I know a lot of kids here at BU are interested in film writing, but how did you get into the business? I mean, what were the the process of getting into reviewing?
Well, let me see. I studied film in college. Studied cinema. Excuse me. They didn't call it film; they called it cinema. I mean, they were across the street were the guys who were making the movies. They were the film department. We were the cinema studies department. After college, I actually worked at HBO for about 8 years in the programming department, and part of my job was basically an in-house movie reviewer, where we picked films and wrote up little reports and advised the people what to buy. And in fact, my job, as pretty much the only straight guy there in that department, was to pick all the late-night TNA films that played on Cinemax.
Really?
Yes. I've had guys in their 20s get down on their knees and thank me for making their adolescence bearable.
Yeah, those were actually my roommates.
Yeah.
Those were my roommates.
Oh, okay.
We all appreciate Busty Cops 10.
Oh.
It's a great
Hard
series.
Ticket to Hawaii? Great film.
They all end in cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Like, who killed the big lady?
Does it really care? Does it really matter?
I don't even know if I can say this stuff.
And then after that, I freelance wrote and ended up at Entertainment Weekly, the magazine, in their first year, and worked there for about 11 years.
Wow.
So I always was watching movies, writing about movies, and then was sort of waiting for a first-string Critic's job to open up, and it happened that opened up in my old hometown, because I grew up in Boston. So it was nice to come back here, and I've been at the Globe about 4 years now.
Right. So it was a bad idea to tell my friends to jump you in the parking lot for jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Because I'm not going anywhere.
Jeff, Plan B's off.
All right. I can take them.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of them.
All right.
They're desperate to do anything for a job.
Well, you know what the thing is? Part of the job is that, I have to sit through Gigli, so you don't.
Yeah.
So do you really want that on your conscience?
I sat through Carrot Top, chairman of the board, 15 times.
Oh, well.
It was more of like a challenge. Like, I think I've seen it more than Carrot Top has seen that movie.
I can't help you there. I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
It was a mistake. But then
Once was enough for me.
I just kept showing people to show them how awful a movie can be.
You liked it, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Don't judge me, Burr. But you just got back from Sundance.
Yes.
And, were there any good films you'd recommend from?
There were some good films. It was a slightly bit of an off year. Sundance is weird. it's for a working critic, you go there and you kind of pound movies. You see 5 or 6 movies a day for 5 or 6 days. You get about 2 hours of sleep. You're living on coffee and balance bars. And
Not
after
heroin?
what?
Not heroin?
Not heroin. Not in Sundance. The altitude's too high. But after a while, the movies kind of start bleeding together, and they all star Steve Zahn, and
it used to be Steve Guttenberg.
Yes, you're right. Well,
like, how many Guttenberg movies is this guy going to be in?
He's still at Sundance walking around in the Uggs.
Yeah.
But I did see some good stuff. Little Miss Sunshine was this real sweet little movie that actually ended up being the hit of the festival, sold for about $10 million, which means it's going to make about 3 cents in the movie theaters when it comes to theaters, probably in May or June. Starred Toni Collette, Alan Arkin, Steve Carell, and a couple of other people. It's a real sweet little comedy.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Now, do you think Sundance has kind of lost its way in the sense, like, do you think it's relevant anymore? Because it's really supposed to be for independent films, but most of it is just like huge celebrities showing up to be seen.
Yeah, I think it was relevant for about 3 minutes back in 1986, and then Sex, Lies, and Videotape came out. And it was discovered, and since then it's been all Jennifer Aniston all the time. Which is, and she was there with a movie, that was supposed to be an indie movie, but can a movie be an indie movie with Jennifer Aniston in it?
Right.
I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I like the independent Vin Diesel film with the cars blowing up and that's not independent at all.
No. If a car, if the budget is big enough for a car to blow up, it's not an independent film. Maybe a firecracker in the backyard.
Yeah. But the Oscars are coming up as well, and I'm sure
can't stop them.
Yeah, you cannot stop them. But do you have any predictions for what's coming up? Do you even watch them? I'm assuming you do.
I've seen them all. Except North Country. For some reason, I couldn't get around to that one. Wesley, the other Boston critic, saw that one. But we saw all the rest. I think it's, America's ready for a gay cowboy movie to win the Best Picture. Although
not my America.
Oh. Well, over here on this couch, we're ready.
Yeah.
I do think that. Have you seen Crash?
I have.
This movie.
I have a lot of words to say about that movie.
Are they good words?
No, not too much.
Let me shake your hand.
Well, I want to crash into you to feel something,
No, I have to shoot you with a blank gun.
I know.
Really.
And then I have to call you some racial slurs and then attack.
I'm white. How can you call me any racial slurs?
Honky. No.
So?
Yeah, I'm a honky too. People think I'm dying because that's how pasty I am.
Regardless of how you feel about Crash, a lot of people think it's an important movie, and especially upper middle class people in Los Angeles think it's an important movie about the way we live, which is about the way they think they live.
Yeah.
And that counts most of the voting membership of the Academy.
Yeah.
I was surprised and then not really surprised to see how many nominations it got. I think it might even possibly be a dark horse.
Really?
Don't count it out. I think that.
Hey, I'm not counting out Carrot Top chairman of the board still. I'm still pushing for that one.
For an Oscar?
I got a lot of money on it.
All right.
Hey, the odds are like 1 million to 1.
If
so
William Hurt can get an Oscar nomination for playing that guy,
exactly.
Anything can happen.
But do you think it's also about, like with the Oscars, I know like movies like Munich didn't get screeners out fast enough, and in comparison to Crash, which Miramax has been really pushing it.
Right.
Do you think it really comes down to who has the most money to publicize? I mean, I know Crash wasn't technically like an expensive film to make, but they've had a lot of money pushing for it to get the screeners out to build awareness.
I think, the screener push counts, but also in the case of Munich, I mean, that was such a controversial movie, especially I think for older Academy members.
Right.
That one was a little crippled just in terms of the horse race from the get-go. I think it's a very, very good movie. It's got a little engine trouble in the last 10 minutes, but I think it's a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
Crash, regardless of how you feel about it, it was out there early. A lot of people saw it. They did get the screeners out, and more to the point, a lot of people think it's an urgent film,
Yeah.
and that counts.
Yeah. But this is kind of a question I've always wondered about, movie critics. Is it like, if you're sitting around and you're bored late at night, are you like, I want to rent a movie? Like, do you ever get to that point?
You know what? I turn on Cinemax at about 2 in the morning.
Me
and I
too.
Say, I remember that.
Yes.
No, I watch movies all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if Pee-wee's Big Adventure is on HBO. I'll dial that in. I'll go. I've got a lot of tapes and a lot of DVDs, including a lot of stuff that pile up when you're in this job. You get a pile sitting in your in your home office, and so I'll watch something.
But if you're gonna go on like a date movie, you're like, oh, we should go see this movie, and like you haven't seen it, and you have your little notes, and you're like, stop doing that.
Well, when I go out with my wife, I don't go out on dates because I'm married.
Neither do I, because I'm just unlucky.
All right, sorry. But I leave the notebook at home when my wife and I go out.
Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. Well, I have to also ask you, what's the worst movie you've ever seen?
Oh, Jesus, the worst?
Yeah.
I know there's a Michael Bay fan out there somewhere.
Yeah.
The worst movie, I could give you the worst movie I've seen recently, besides anything starring Ashton Kutcher.
Box office poison, my friend. Amanda Peet, that's the box office poison.
The Dickens, you'd say.
Yeah.
Domino.
Yeah.
Did you see Domino?
I saw commercials and I hated it.
That was roadkill. That was roadkill that thought it was a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call me Domino Harvey.
Harvey.
How many times do you say that? It's like, that's the whole trailer, just her saying that.
See, I wanted to see her in Pride and Prejudice go medieval and whip out an Uzi and just like start blowing people away.
That's the way Jane Austen would have wanted it.
It is. It is. I believe.
Little women. But I got to thank you for coming on the show.
Sure, my pleasure.
So please, everyone, Ty Burr. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.